This is our review for Unit 3. The test is tomorrow. What are the x and the y intercepts of the given equation? Well, that just means plug in 0 for y and solve for x, and plug in 0 for x and solve for y. So let's plug in 0 for y. When you plug in 0 for y, doesn't that make that part go away? And we've got 3x equals negative 12. Divide both sides by 3, and x equals negative 4 when y is 0. So now let's plug in our 0 for x. When we plug in 0 for x, 3 times 0 is gone, and I've got negative 2y equals negative 12. If I divide both sides by negative 2, I get that y is 6. Number 2, write the equation of the line graphed. Well, I see that I have my y-intercept of 2, so that means my b equals 2. And now let's get my slope. I'm rising 1 and running backward 2. So my slope, I rose 1 and I ran backward 2. My slope is negative 1/2. So the equation of my line is y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2. They didn't say what form, and the easiest form in this case is slope-intercept. Number 3, what's the solution? Meaning, what inequality goes with this graph? Well, let's see. I've got a y-intercept here at 3, and actually they all have y-intercepts at 3. I've got a dotted line. That means neither of these are correct because they've got the equal to bar. So I'm choosing between A and B. One says that y is less than everything. The other says that y is greater than everything. Well, I know that when my graph is shaded above, y is greater. So I know my answer is this one. Also, this one has a negative slope, and this line is going downhill. Number 4, which of these shows y equals 3x minus 1 in standard form? No guessing allowed. We need to do the work. Well, I get to rule out choice C, because guess what? That's not in standard form. And choice B, that's not in standard form. So I've got to decide between A and D. Well, guess what? Let's do the math. If I want to get my x onto the other side, I would subtract 3x to both sides. And when I do, I get a minus 3x plus y equals negative 1. Are those any of my choices? They're not. All of those have a positive 3x. So let me try multiplying every term through by negative 1. When I do, I get a positive 3x minus y equals positive 1. And now we see that the choice is D. Number 5, which of the following are solutions to the compound inequality shown below? Well, I really need to isolate x. I could add 3, and instead of adding 3 to both sides, I am now just adding 3 to all 3 sides. And when I do, 5 plus 3 is 8. I've got my x alone, and I've got a 13. So using that inequality, let's go find out if 7 is a solution. Well, no, x needs to be between 8 and 13, so 7's too small. How about 8? No, I can't include 8. I don't have an equal to bar, so 8 is not a solution. 9 will work because 9 is in between 8 and 13, so that's a yes. And 13 works because I've got an equal to bar here, so the 13 is included. Number 6, Kurt does chores in his neighborhood. The graph shows Kurt's savings goal for the summer. If he washes 15 cars, how many lawns will he have to mow to meet his goal? This is just a matter of reading our number from the graph. Cars washed when we're at 15. What do we hit for meeting our goal exactly? Well, in between 20 and 30 would be 25, and that's choice B. If he mows 25 lawns and he washes 15 cars, he will meet his goal. Number 7, what is the slope of that equation? We need to get y alone to know the slope for sure. So I will subtract 4x to both sides, and when I do, I get a minus 3y equals a negative 4x plus 7. Now let's get y alone by dividing every term through by negative 3. And positive y equals positive 4/3 x plus negative 7/3. I really could have written minus 7/3. So the slope is equal to 4/3. Number 8, the population of Medford High School is 800 students and increasing at a rate of 30 students per year. The population of Westville High School is 1,240 students and decreasing by 25 students per year. In about how many years will the populations be the same? Well, the population for Medford High School is currently at 800, but we're adding to that 800 30 students per year. The population for Westville High School starts off at 1,240 students, but they're losing 25 students per year. And we want to find out when the two populations are equal. That would mean 800 plus 30x should equal 1,240 minus 25x. Let's get our variables on both sides, on one side rather. I will add 25x to both sides. And I've got 800 plus 55x equals 1,240. Now we can subtract 800 to both sides. And we've got 55x equals 440. When I divide both sides by 55, I find that x is 8. Remember, we were counting the number of years when the populations would be the same, and that would be in 8 years. The next one, Leslie joins a fitness club that has an initial fee of $20 plus a monthly fee of $15. Rashad's club charges $40 initially plus $10 a month. In how many months will the clubs cost the same? This is very similar to the problem that we just did. For Leslie, we know that she's got $20 plus a monthly fee of $15 per month. And for Rashad, we know that his costs are $40 plus $10 per month. If we want the costs to be the same, then we'd like to set those two amounts equal. So 20 plus 15x will equal 40 plus 10x. To get x alone, or on one side, let's subtract 10x to both sides. And we see that 20 equals 40. Oh no, I missed something. Sorry. 20 doesn't equal 40. 20 plus 5x equals 40. Those two cancel. Now I can subtract 20 to both sides. I think I'll do that mentally. And 5x will equal 20. Divide both sides by 5, and we see that x equals 4. So in 4 months, both costs will be the same. Wesley has 30 bacteria in his petri dish. They're dying at a rate of 4 bacteria per minute. Write and graph a linear function that represents this situation. Well, if the total amount of bacteria at any given time is y, and we know we start off at 30, and we lose 4 bacteria per minute. So our total amount, starting off at 30, but losing 4 per minute. could also rewrite that equation as y equals negative 4x plus 30. Our x-axis is our number of bacteria. Be sure to label. Oh, I lied. Did you catch that? X-axis is not number of bacteria. X-axis is time in minutes. And our y-axis is our number of bacteria. Most of the time, you're going to choose time as your x-axis. Well, our minutes, we can count by ones. For our number of bacteria, we might want to count by fives on that. So we'll have 5, 10, 15, 20. You're going to have to do it. My pen is too thick. It won't change. And I know that I'm going to have, well, it's here, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and 30 will be my y-intercept. Let's calculate our x-intercept to get our other ordered pair. To get our x-intercept, we'd like to plug in a 0 for y. So 0 equals negative 4x plus 30. I could add 4x to both sides, and I would get 4x equals 30. Divide both sides by 4, and x will equal 7.5. So in 7.5 minutes, I will have no bacteria. And 7.5 is right about here. So I can graph that line, connecting my y-intercept where I start off with 30 bacteria, and in 7.5 minutes, I'll be down to no bacteria, and that is my line. So to answer part B, find and interpret the x-intercept, we just did that. The x-intercept is 7.5, and that means in 7.5 minutes, no bacteria left. Find and interpret the y-intercept. That happened here at 30. That means we've got 30 bacteria in the beginning. D, find the domain and the range. Well, the domain are all the x values, so the domain is anything from 0 minutes to 7.5 minutes. And the range will be all your y values, and that's from 0 bacteria to 30 bacteria. You might want to label those. I can for you. That's your domain, and that's your range. Number 10, a plumber charges an initial fee of $40 plus a rate of $60 per hour. Write a function that shows the total fees for H hours of work. They did say function. Let's use function notation. Our variable will be H. So how do I find f of H? Well, what do the charges come from? We've got an initial fee of $45 plus $60 per hour. Oh, not too bad. Part B, how would the graph of the function change if the plumber raised her rate to $65 per hour and lowered her initial fee to $35? Well, now it becomes f of H equals, and we're $65 per hour. That's our slope. So it's 65H for our slope, and our initial fee is now 35. Notice both of these could be written in slope-intercept form if we wanted. 60H plus 45, and this is equal to 65H plus 35. And let's give a verbal description. This new situation is vertically stretched, because 65 is bigger than 60, and it is translated down 5 units. And I'm going to abbreviate. Number 11, the Environmental Club is selling water bottles for $8 and tote bags for $12 to raise $240 to donate to charity. Write a linear equation for the fundraising goal. I like to use the first one as X, so $8 per bottle plus $12 per tote bag better add up to $240 raised in all. So let's go find and interpret the intercepts. Remember, that's when we plug in 0 for x to get the y-intercept and vice versa to get the x-intercept. Let's plug in 0 for y. When I plug in 0 for y, then I've got 8x equals 240. Divide both sides by 8, and x equals 30. When I plugged in 0 for y, x was 30. Now go do the same for the y-intercept. Let's go plug in 0 for x. When you plug in 0 for x, the 8x is gone, and we've got 12y equals 240. Divide both sides by 12, and y equals 20. So those are our intercepts. What do they mean? Well, we could sell 30 bottles and no totes. And that would be the 30 point. Or we could sell 20 totes and no bottles. Part C, we're going to graph. So we've got the x-intercept at 30, and we've got our y-intercept at 20, and we can just connect those with our line. My board seems to be off, but we're going to have to make do with that. Part D, from the graph, how many water bottles must they sell if they sell 10 totes? So we're going to try to read that from the graph. If we've got 10 totes, it appears that we need 15. But remember, my board is off. I should double check. I am pretty sure that we will sell 15 bottles. But let's go make sure. 8 times 15, not better equal, but 8 times 15 plus 12 times 10 should add up to 240. Let's go check. 8 times 15 is 120. 10 times 12 is 120. And guess what? That does add up to 240. So you can check by plugging in the values that you think you read into the equation. Number 12, graph the solution of the inequality. So we see we've got a y-intercept here at 3, and our slope is a positive 1/4. I can rise 1 and go forward 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd like another point, so I will fall 1 and go backward 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to connect those, but because there's no equal to bar, I'm going to connect with a dotted line. And now I've got to decide which side of that boundary line I'm going to shade, above or below. Well, there's 2 ways you can do this. You can do it the quick way. It says that y is less, and I know y is less when we're down here, not up here. So I would shade below. If I wanted to double check, I think that 0, 0 should be a solution. Let's go plug in the ordered pair 0, 0 into the equation. When y is 0, we've got y is less than 1/4 times 0 plus 3. Well, 1/4 times 0 is 0, so we've got 0 is less than 3. This is true. So we shade the side that includes 0, 0, which is the side that we just shaded. And that appears to be all of your review. If you had any of your problems wrong, you're not ready yet for this quiz, even if you understood my explanation. You need extra practice. Try this review again, do some problems from the homework, from the textbook. Get extra help. You need more practice.